Nobody wants to hear this, but the Bible never once tells you to accept abuse just because it comes from family. Somewhere along the way, we turned blood into a license. We started believing that if someone is related to you, you owe them unlimited access to your peace, but God never said that, not once. Jesus himself said in Matthew 10:36, "A man's foes shall be they of his own household." Read that again. Even Jesus warned that some of your deepest wounds would come from the people who share your last name. If you've been carrying guilt for finally setting a boundary with your own family, this word is for you. Today we're walking through 7 toxic family behaviors the Bible never asked you to tolerate and the biblical proof that it's time to stop. Before we begin, if you've ever felt guilty for protecting your peace from your own family, write in the comments, "Lord, give me the courage to set the boundary." Let's begin. Behavior 1. Guilt tripping disguised as love. There's a kind of manipulation that hides behind the words, "After everything I've done for you." It sounds like love, but it functions like a chain. Every kindness becomes a debt. Every gift becomes leverage. This is not biblical love. 1 Corinthians 13:5 says, "Love does not seek its own, is not easily provoked, and keeps no record of wrongs." Real love does not weaponize the past to control your present. Think of Jacob and Esau. Isaac's household ran on favoritism and manipulation, and it produced decades of division between brothers. If someone constantly reminds you of your debt to them just to control your decisions, that is not honor. That is manipulation wearing the mask of family loyalty. God calls you to honor your family. He never called you to be controlled by them. Behavior
2. Favoritism that breeds division.
Genesis 37 tells us that Israel loved Joseph more than all his other children and made him a coat of many colors. And what did that favoritism produce? Jealousy so intense that his own brothers threw him into a pit and sold him into slavery. Favoritism is not a small thing in the eyes of God. James 2:1 warns believers to hold their faith without showing favoritism. If your family has always elevated one child while dismissing another, that pattern did not come from heaven. It came from brokenness.
You are not required to keep competing for love that should have been freely given.
You're allowed to walk away from a system that only valued you conditionally.
Behavior 3. The silent treatment and emotional withholding. Some families punish with silence.
Weeks of no calls, no acknowledgement, no resolution, just cold distance used as a weapon. This is not biblical discipline. This is emotional withholding, and it is designed to make you shrink until you apologize for something you may not have even done. Ephesians 4:26 says, "Let not the sun go down upon your wrath." God's standard is reconciliation, not prolonged punishment through silence. If your family uses silence to control you rather than resolve conflict with you, you are not wrong for refusing to chase peace that was never being offered. You can love someone from a distance while they learn how to communicate like an adult. Behavior 4. Gaslighting your reality. This is the family member who insists your memory is wrong, your feelings are dramatic, and your perception of what happened simply isn't true. Over time, this makes you doubt your own discernment, and discernment is a gift God gave you, not something to be argued out of you. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." You are allowed to guard your heart even from people who share your bloodline. When Saul repeatedly denied his intent to harm David while hunting him with a spear, David didn't stay and argue his own reality with him. He put distance between himself and the danger. Protecting your peace from someone who distorts your truth is not disrespect. It's discernment. Behavior 5. Controlling behavior disguised as concern. Some family members don't ask questions to understand you. They ask questions to control your next move. Every decision you make becomes something to interrogate. Every boundary you set becomes something to punish. Galatians 5:1 says, "Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage." God calls you to freedom, not to a lifetime of asking permission from people who never intend to let go. Even Jesus in Luke 2 had to gently remind his own earthly family that he had a purpose beyond their expectations of him. You can love your family and still refuse to let them script your life?
Behavior 6. Using scripture to justify abuse. This one is subtle, and it's deeply painful.
Some families quote, "Honor thy father and mother," while ignoring every command about love, gentleness, and self-control. But the Bible never uses one verse to cancel out the rest of its own character. Ephesians 6:4 says, "Fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord." Honor was never meant to be a covering for harm. Jesus confronted this directly in Matthew 15, when religious leaders used a tradition called korban to avoid caring for their own parents while still appearing righteous. He called it exactly what it was, the commandment of God made void by tradition. If Scripture is being used to silence you rather than to shepherd you, that is not the heart of God. That is a misuse of His Word. Behavior 7. Refusing to let you grow. Some families only feel comfortable with the old version of you, the quiet one, the compliant one, the one who never challenged anything. So when you begin to grow, set boundaries, or pursue what God is calling you to, they resist it, not because it's wrong, but because it's unfamiliar. Mark 3:31-35 shows us that even Jesus redefined family around obedience to God rather than bloodline alone. He said, "Whosoever shall do the will of God, the same is my brother and my sister and mother." That doesn't mean abandoning your family. It means your primary allegiance was always meant to be to God, not to whoever raised you. If your growth threatens people who claim to love you, that discomfort belongs to them. It was never your job to shrink so they could stay comfortable. If any of these 7 behaviors sound familiar, hear this clearly. Honoring your family does not mean tolerating dysfunction forever. God commands honor. He never commands silence in the face of harm. You can forgive someone and still create distance. You can love someone and still refuse to be controlled by them. Boundaries are not unbiblical. Boundaries are wisdom. Proverbs 4:23 already told you to guard your heart above everything else you guard. So if you've been feeling guilty for finally protecting your peace, let this be the confirmation you needed. You are not dishonoring your family. You are finally honoring what God placed inside of you. If this word freed something in your spirit today, write in the comments, "Lord, give me the strength to set the boundary." And if you know someone still carrying guilt for protecting themselves from toxic family patterns, send them this video today. Make sure you're subscribed so we can keep growing together in biblical wisdom every single day. God bless you deeply, my brother, my sister. Until next time.